we go, getting ready to get things on started. Time for the grand finals here. You can see on your screen just how we got here. On the left side of your screen, it was the reigning defending champions, Mctavish, the Marauders, who earned their spot here after a banger Game 5 win over LCI Samurai Gold. On the other side, the Cougars might not have needed 5. They only needed 4 in their semifinal matchup. They did get pressed the distance quite a bit as well. We're now off to best of 7s. It's about a battle of attrition. It's all about who's going to be able to step up to the plate when it matters the most. Not only best team in Canada, but best team in Alberta, I guess.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that 2 of the top 4 seeds that we had coming into today, into that playoff bracket, made it to the end, and both of them are from Alberta. Once again, we've got, everyone's heard about the legendary battles of Alberta within the hockey space in the NHL, and now we're getting to see the Esports equivalent in Rocket League of the Battle of Alberta.
You wonder who here is going to be able to come out on top. Think it more interesting here as far as in game number 1. In the past, we've kind of talked about somewhat important. I really feel like in games, in best of 7, not so much of the same deal, right? Like I feel like in game number 7, in a best of 7, game number 1, completely a feeler out sort of situation. It's not just the first 60 to 90 seconds. So, let's go out and see which one of these 2 teams wins game number 1. But if you are the squad that's here cheering on your team, I wouldn't put too much weight on it. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get down to it.
Yeah, great kickoff by the Cougars to pick up initial control of the ball there. Because we know the Marauders are quite good at ball control. And we saw it right there as the Marauders in the first 11 seconds pick up the first goal of the game, with Nate dropping the ball right off the roof in a pass to miss down low. The Cougars are seeing that championship pedigree from the Marauders early.
Well, if there is any question about the time off maybe causing a little bit of a cool down over on that Marauder side of the pitch, well, we have an answer. Doesn't seem like it. Now the question becomes for the Cougars, how quickly can you find yourself a response? Jonathan in a 1v1 with Macro. Macro wins the low 50, adds a second on the total for the Marauders as they go up by 2.
Yeah, great last second deke there by Macro to put the ball just around Jonathan to get that second goal. And we haven't even hit the 30-second mark here into the game, and already the Marauders are up 2-0. Oh, I thought it was going to be a kickoff goal there from the Cougars, just going wide. Cougars giving a little bit of pressure in the zone, but missed, carrying it up with that aerial, dropping it right in front of the net. It was cleared by the Cougars back out.
Oh, not even a minute gone into game number 1 yet. So if you are the Cougars, you still got time to cook, but you don't want to allow a third for the Marauders. Otherwise, that's just more momentum for this team that we've already seen earlier today on stream. We know they give them a little bit. They'll take as much out of it as they can. They'll squeeze every last drop out of every opportunity. Big clear. Back down onto the orange side. Swing and a miss. Actually, this is the ball right in front of the net. Miss swings. Nathan shuts it down. And now all of a sudden, it's the ball going the opposite way.
Yeah, and Macro intercepting the ball, heading that out of the way, carrying it up off the ceiling. Tries to drop it right in front of the net, but it just gets tapped wide by the Cougars. The Cougars try to push it back in. A bit of a bumbled tap by the Marauders, giving the Cougars a chance. Ball's right up in front of the net. No one there to pick it up for the Cougars. Missed carrying it down. And what a save by the Cougars with that pinch right against the goalpost to drive that ball out and go right back onto the counterattack into the zone with Jonathan picking up the ball, dribble, and countered by Mist.
Well, Nathan might have been able to ring the bell with the save, but you had mentioned the counterattack opportunity did get denied. Jonathan's shot also sent aside, and it makes its way past the midfield line. Nate going to be able to win the beat on that side while he wins the race to it. That's going to at least bury it deep inside this Cougars half of the field. Nathan will be able to exit, but only just past midfield. Miss, sends a shot on in. Gets that second touch as well. It requires a save from Jonathan. Clear comes across. It's going to be Miss in an awkward position in the corner. Misses that one, but luckily Nate can send it aside.
And Nate sends it aside there. Ethan trying to pick it up off the ceiling, but the Marauders clear it out. Bit of a mistouch there and a miss as the Marauders pick up that aerial ball. Centering, and Macro flying in off the wall with a tip to drop the ball in, giving the Marauders a 3-0 lead with 2:17 left to go. If you're the Cougars, you gotta figure out how to level set yourselves here, as the Marauders are giving them absolutely everything they can handle right now.
And they definitely turned things up to a 10 here for the grand finals, and they're really setting the tone here in game number 1. It's been 7 shots found in the first 3 minutes, almost half of which, 3 of them, have found the lace. And now it's Macro once again sending this ball into that Cougars territory. Almost finds the angle. Jonathan trying to back that thing up. Will be able to find a touch to at least relieve a little bit of pressure. It's a clear down towards the other side. Ethan looks to try and settle it towards the middle. Nathan not high enough. And it's another visit for the Cougars into that blue half that's very short-lived.
Yeah, the Cougars are able to get clear down the ball quickly, but they're just not getting any zone time, as we've seen it time and time again from the Marauders, just that mid-zone pressure. And they're just sitting there, shutting down anything you have to give them, and then immediately driving it back in with the spare player and driving the ball down as Macro drives it in, tries to center, and that's cleared out by Ethan. Ethan looking to carry it down the field, tries to go for the pass, misses just wide, and the ball pinches off the wall back into the Cougar zone. 1 minute remaining here. Nathan trying to carry it in a solo effort. The Marauders poking it out, missed with a shot on net in the center, and with 45-ish seconds left to go, Macro taking it in.
I thought Nate was going to be able to follow things up because they did have a relatively open net. Not able to punish that one, but with a 3-goal lead, you're nearly not going to be worried about it too much. You do kind of get the ability to coast across the goal or cross against the finish line here in game number 1. However, I'm sure they have their eyes set on completing the clean sheet. 20 seconds left. Nathan would like to at least get one on the board here for the Cougars. Denied that time around. Nate with another touch will find their way into the orange half and follows with another pick of the pocket. Sends it in front of the net as an awkward spot, especially with Macro trying to chase it down. I think at this point with the back pass, simply playing keep away. Once the ball touches the ground, the Marauders take game 1.
Yeah, that was the absolute dominant play we've seen from the Marauders so far. Turns out that, at least for game 1, that championship pedigree and skill can overcome that telepathic communication and that familiarity that the Cougars are going to have with themselves and the confidence they're bringing from that semifinal.
Well, the Cougars would have needed to shoot 100% in game number 1 if they wanted to just simply tie things up. They only had 3 shots, none of which found the lace. Meanwhile, for the Marauders, not quite up the double digits. They did get 9 and have a pretty darn good shooting efficiency. I mean, a third of which finds the back of the net. So let's go off to game number 2. I had mentioned game number 1 not as important, but don't get tricked into thinking that if you're the Cougars that you can just come in here with the same game plan in game number 1, because if you lose this one, the Marauders all of a sudden find themselves halfway there, living on more than a prayer. They've got pressure here early forward as well, looking to try and find an early goal.
Yeah, trying to find an early goal, dropping that shot off the roof, and it almost lazily bounces into the net with no one there to pick it up. And this time it will get into the net as Macro wins that 50-50 clear attempt inside of the Cougars zone and just taps that into the open net with the Cougars hunting down the boost.
Look, I'm not normally a guy that likes to say I told you so, but I did mention they were trying to find themselves an early lead, and well, it didn't take them long, did it? 18 seconds. Maybe a quick response, but Ethan not going to be able to find that follow-up touch down deep inside that blue territory. So it's going to be up to Nate to try and flip the field, pinches it down towards at least the orange half. You saw Macro prioritizing the boost, just wanting to limit the resources that are available to the Cougars on that counter attack. That way they can slow it down, switch the pressure, and now it's them back on the attack.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the sort of the modus operandi we've seen from the Marauders in the last couple games we've watched from them. It is just that efficient counterattack, that efficient structure to pick up all the boost your opponent has once you get that initial zone pressure, and just slowly but surely chip away, drive it down. And with that, they pick up their second goal with about 4 minutes to go here. And the Cougars are once again on the back foot.
I think one thing that's also kind of scary to think about for this Marauders squad, and I'm sure we'll touch on it more, especially if they figure out a way to walk away as champs here. But let's actually hold a second. Nathan finds a way to successfully take this lead and cuts it in half. It's a beautiful play by Jonathan. Pays the price for raising up to be able to find the pass, but hey, you know what? It works. The Cougars find their first goal.
Yeah, great play by Jonathan there to sacrifice the body to be able to pass the ball back and be able to get it onto his teammates' cars to be able to take that shot. Just a wide shot there by the Marauders on the Cougars' net. And yeah, we need to see more of that from the Cougars, and pressing there and getting that out of their zone. But once again, we're seeing that relentless momentum coming in from the Marauders. And while the Cougars had a great showing coming into this, it feels like the reigning champs are putting on the pressure and showing why they are the reigning champs.
Oh, y'all thought y'all were to make this close? That's cute. Go ahead and watch me add another one to my tally, re-extending my lead up to 3, says the Marauders. However, it's a pass to the middle. Jonathan almost makes them pay. It's always such a dangerous risk to try and find a way out of your defensive half towards the middle of the field. Jonathan will find a pass up to Nathan, who I thought was going to be able to settle it before the ball settled into that front left-hand corner. Instead, ball will find its way back towards the midfield line, and the tug of war continues.
Yeah, just that back and forth middle here. The Cougars need to figure out a way to break that defensive structure, as they do right there. And they caught the Marauders on a rare misplay and got a lucky bounce through the middle of both defenders to put that into the corner, bringing them one step closer. The Cougars aren't going away here with 3 minutes to play.
Yeah, I didn't see what had happened to lead to Macro being on the back wall, who at the start of that replay was just getting their wheels settled on that right side of the goal, but they were facing the wrong way. Your other defender has no gas in the tank. Just a series of unfortunate events, it did appear. But you know what? You do still have the lead if you are the Marauders. You've shown the ability to respond to the responses. Let's see if they can maybe do so on this possession. It's Nate looking towards the middle. Jonathan picks the pocket, but it's right back onto the hood of Miss. It's a pass to Macro. That sails way too high and wide.
Yeah, just a little bit too wide there and a bit of a miscommit by the Marauders as the Cougars storming back down with an overshot by Nate, I believe, into the goal on the other side of the pitch, leaving his team shorthanded, and the Cougars capitalized with that attack, and we're all tied up 3-3.
3s apiece, the Cougars on the prowl, and in what is an important game number 2 in this best of 7. Jonathan has some field, will send a pass off of the back wall. It's in the middle of the pitch, but your third defender already went back, almost gets bumped out of the way. Nate screaming on in, will punch it home for the Marauders as they take the lead with 2:02 left to play.
Yeah, just great bump there by Miss to move the goalie out of the way, not giving Nathan enough time to recover, and just allowing his teammate the time there to pot home their 4th and take the lead again.
You know what's funny though is, I think if Miss doesn't find that bump, the ball still finds its way across the goal line, because both him and the player that they were bumping were both kind of heading backwards. It almost acted as a save. Goal ends up going across anyway, so you're not worried about it. but that is one of those where if you don't punch it across there, it's kind of feels bad. So you're glad to see that it worked out for him. Ethan with a heck of a shot off of the pass from Nathan, and we're all tied up at 4.
Yeah, that Cougars offense and those passes that we've seen from them before are starting to come back into play and giving the Marauders a bit of something they have to compete with that they haven't seen since that one game. And the Marauders tip off the corner of the net, and Nate follows up. The champs just showing why they are the champs and immediately answering back with a goal.
That's got to be frustrating too, as the Cougars. Every time it looks like you're about to settle things back up, maybe find a way to put yourself into the driver's seat, the Marauders just say, not today. It's 5-4 here now with 90 seconds right about left onto the clock. Nate with the kablamo. It's going to be Macro looking for the double tap off of that one. Missed, denied by Ethan. It will be Nathan looking to flip the field. Shot gets sent way too far wide. Jonathan with a touchdown. Acts as a pass to the middle. Nathan is there, but it's Macro who gets the bead.
Yeah, Macro getting that clear out there. It was a great play to sacrifice the body to make that play again. But unfortunately, the Cougars just can't capitalize. Miscarrying the ball downfield, passing it off to a shot, looking for the double touch. Nate off the top, unable, can't put it home. Macro with another shot, and Nathan with an additional save. Pushing it down in the pass wide. Great save by the Marauders and missed to keep their 1-goal lead with 40 seconds left to go. The Cougars not willing to go away here silently into the night with this game. They are keeping the pressure on and the momentum high here.
I like to see the fight, but it's only 30 seconds left. Otherwise, the Marauders are halfway there. That shot will be denied. Nathan will look for a pass to the middle. Macro's there. Ethan will be able to find yet another save, but now it's time of the essence. You gotta flip the pitch, flip the script, and try and find a way to put it into the back of the net. It's gonna be a pass back towards the middle. Macro finds a way to send it deep inside the Cougars territory. Was trying to pop that back up for their teammate. A little bit of a mistouch here. One last second play, unfortunately for them, missed, stops the progress over towards the blue side, and the Marauders take game 2.
Yeah, the Marauders take game 2, but at least in this one, the Cougars didn't find themselves getting shut out and at least gave some pushback here. If they are going to be able to take a game in this series from the Marauders, they're going to need more than just pushback. They're going to need perfection, as the Marauders just seem to capitalize on any and every mistake they can find.
Well, they were able to find the smallest of opportunities. What's kind of crazy to think about is how close this series was despite the shot discrepancy, because the Cougars only finding 8 shots. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, 17. That's quite a bit of a difference. Yeah, you could sit here as the Cougars and say, hey, that means we had efficiency. We were able to shut down quite a bit on the defensive side. I'm a law of averages kind of guy. You cannot give this Marauders that many chances at your net and think you're walking away with a dub.
Yeah, exactly. And so as we head here, 5 minutes back on the clock into game 3 in this series, the Cougars are going to have to, like I said, be almost dang near perfect to be able to force the Marauders to lose a game in this series and give themselves a shot.
Gotta definitely figure something out here in game number 3. I mean, I would like to say an early goal is a way to start, but honestly, with the pace that the Marauders have been able to find the lace, I'm not even sure if that's the case. I think the big thing is you just got to put together a perfect 5 minutes of Rocket League. It's easy for us to say that on the mic. It's a whole nother thing to do that out on the pitch. Maybe a potential opportunity here, denied. Miss going to be able to find a little bit of additional space off the back of that demo as well. It's over Nathan's head. Jonathan has to make a play as the third back, and will gather it and send it towards the other side of the field.
Yeah, Jonathan trying to carry it down, went for an attempted pinch there to drive the ball out of his zone, just missed it slightly, but did get the pass down to a wide open net, and Nathan puts it home. I'm not too sure what happened to the Marauders there. Oh, it's a bit of a double commit over on the left-hand side, and the Marauders left their net wide open. The Cougars get in and capitalize on the first goal of this game. 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in if you're missed because you kind of need to step up and try and figure out like kind of how, like you have to find a way to shut that thing down because you are the third back. Otherwise, there's like ample field. But if you miss it, well, we saw what happens. It's just way too much field, and it's easy to get knocked in. So the Cougars do have that first lead. Now the question becomes, can you give yourself a little bit of a security blanket? Would like to pass things towards the middle. However, the defensive rotation already comes across. That gives the Marauders space to rotate on in and try and take possession.
Yeah, and the Marauders immediately capitalize on that possession, driving in here. Jonathan making a good play to counterattack and force Marauders back into their zone and give the Cougars a bit of foot, but a bit of a misplay there by Nathan to drive the ball back into his own zone when they had that opportunity. Bit of a tip up here and a pass to himself, but Mist will intercept that, sending it right back down the field. Couple bounces in the corner, Ethan with a shot on net, and the Marauders save the shot on their opponent's net and save themselves from tying up the game. And the Cougars go right back onto the attack, pressuring into their zone.
It's all right, though. You still only need one if you're the Marauders, and you do still have a whole half to play. Jonathan denied by Macro. Follow-up opportunity by Nathan. Second shot follows off of the post. Macro with a nice 50. We'll send that off the sidewall. It's back in the middle. Missed the only one with gas in the tank, but not facing the right way to rise on up. So because of that, the Cougars still have possession. Ethan will fire a shot, getting denied before it can even come off of the hood. Now it's a counterattack opportunity. Miss. Bang. Bar down skis. We're tied up at 1.
Yeah, just a little bit of a misplay by the Cougars player up there. I believe that was Ethan that made a little bit of an overcommit with not enough boost in the tank to get himself up and intercept that ball. And Mist does not let the mistake go unpunished and puts the ball into the back of the net, tying the game.
Oh, tied Macro, up.
Macro carrying it in here, trying to capitalize themselves. The Cougars just trying to drive it out. Mist back up off the top of the pass to Nate. And the Marauders punish the Cougars once again with back-to-back goals in under a minute.
Oh man, kind of like that one great track from Drake, right? Going back-to-back, put themselves in the lead here with 2:02 left to play. The driver's seat for the Marauders has been a very familiar spot for them all day long. Macro with the ball in the corner and picks up the big pad as well, so they have some room to work with. Nathan does a great job of rising on in with the 50, unable to keep the control. However, Jonathan puts it off the side while Nate's already up, leaves it off for Miss. Little hesitation, flick over one, but Jonathan with the save.
Yeah, that's a great save by Jonathan to keep it out of the net here. And now the Cougars go back on the attack. A demo from Ethan on Macro, trying to keep it out, but Nate pushing that back in, as we've seen multiple times today, stealing that boost from the Cougars zone, and the Cougars come right back down the pitch. Jonathan carrying that effort, that pass back and forth between Ethan and Jonathan onto the wall and into the net for a 2-2 game.
Who's that reaching in the cookie jar? All of yous over on the blue side. Pressed way too far forward. That one's a little too easy. It's going to be a mistake that does indeed get punished. The good news for the Marauders, though, is you do still have a share of the lead. 75 seconds left. Jonathan looks for it, has an opportunity, can't keep the handle. Now all of a sudden, maybe numbers the opposite way as Nate will look to gather it in front of his net. Pops it on up, is high in the sky, sends it towards the net, but it will be Ethan who finds the save. And with Jonathan in the corner, trying to find some way somehow to get the possession back towards the middle, it's the assistance. Yeah, sure, Nathan also finds some space with the demo, but no luck, no dice when it comes to the goal.
Yeah, no dice there, but the Cougars are pushing straight back into the Marauders zone, forcing them onto the back foot here. The Cougars are looking for that third goal to get themselves up here late, 40 seconds to go. The Cougars, I think, have found a little bit of a strategy in demoing the opponent, because that seems to be working in their favor to get the ball deep, hold it in there, and get an opportunity shot with Ethan just shooting wide off the post.
That is one that
opportunity.
That's one you have to be able to capitalize on. against a team like the Marauders. They do not make very many mistakes, so when they give you an open net, you have to bury it. Instead, it's 5 seconds away. The Marauders have a chance for one last second play before we go off to overtime. Nate sends it forward. Jonathan looks to send it aside, but it's missed up in the sky. Looks for a pass to Macro, unable to keep the handle, and it's off to overtime we go.
Yeah, heading off to the first overtime here in the grand final. Marauders winning that 50-50 off the kickoff, going quickly for the goal. Macro with a solo carry, and what a save by Ethan to keep the game alive for the Cougars as the Marauders are burning everything they got here. And Nate with the carry, the aerial, the flick to put it home and secure game 3 of this best of 7, putting the Cougars in a must-win situation.
Talk about a highlight, going coast to coasty with it, hits him with the flick of the wrist as well, and you mentioned it, the Marauders are now up to series point. The Cougars are now in reverse sweep territory if they want to call themselves champs.
Yeah, exactly. The Cougars have a massive uphill battle now if they want to knock out the reigning champs. We've seen them in this. We've seen the reigning champs in this position before in their semifinal matchup, and when they are in that position, they don't lose. They come back with a vengeance. And unfortunately for the Cougars, they don't even have that opportunity, as they are the ones who are in a must-win pinch.
The Cougars had 12 shots that game. They actually outshot the Marauders 12-9, despite the fact that the Marauders obviously walk away with the necessary goal in overtime here. While we do get ready to potentially head into our last match as far as the U18 bracket, I wanted to give a big shout out to our U15 champs who will have already been decided on that other stream. It's Valley Gardens Middle School, the Bears, who are your U15 champions. Let's see if the Marauders can also call them champs here after game number 4.
Yeah, as we drop back in, 5 minutes back on the clock, and we are off. The Cougars giving up that kickoff, but managing to drive it back down into the zone. Jonathan looking for a play, but Macro there to deny. Ethan picking it up, Nate trying to pinch and get an easy early goal. Unable to capitalize. Macro tip off the backboard, pass to miss off the backboard again, and Ethan a shot for Nate up the post and in. The Marauders are here to play. They're here to stay, and they're up 1-0 early.
Got a lucky second touch off of that post, but you know what? Sometimes better to be lucky than good. You make your own luck when you're playing that aggressive towards the net as well. The Marauders put themselves into the driver's seat. You got goal number 1, and there's open field. However, the Cougars could try and find themselves a quick second. It settled down in front of the net. Ethan bangs it home, and we're tied up at 1.
Wow, and the Cougars come back immediately, capitalizing on that over-aggression on the Marauders' side. Great play up on the wall to think and not hard pass that ball, dropping it gently right onto their teammate's car, and they pick up that tie the game, 1-1 each, 30 seconds in.
Now you wonder, that maybe be the jump start the Cougars need, a very quick response to say, hey, we're still here to play. We want to extend this series as well. Have to wait and see as we do get ready for things here. It's going to be Nate who sends it aside. That's not going to quite find its mark, but it's still over towards the front of the net. Trying to find a way out. It will be at least saved. It's pinched. It's going the other way. Is that just in? That's just in. Ethan punches it home, and the Cougars have the lead.
What great passing from the Cougars there. I think on that play alone, I counted 3 or 4 passes between the 3 players, just juggling the ball gently back and forth, carried it down, tapping it in the net, giving themselves that 1-goal lead. Ultra elusive against the Marauders here, but the Cougars need to reset here on the demo, and Nate picks up a quick return shot. The champs showing that championship pedigree.
Now that one is going to hurt for the Cougars. Just when you thought you were starting to get the handle, an unfortunate series of events. It's a sniper rifle shot from the far side of the pitch. You're tied up at 2. Last thing you want is for the Marauders to find a quick third. They're trying here. Nate, bang, finds that one. It's 5 goals in the opening 75 seconds as the Marauders are up 3-2.
Yeah, the Marauders are absolutely refusing to disappear here. An amazing play by Mist, carrying it in and prepping up that shot for his teammate off the backboard. And once again, the Cougars, who did find themselves less than 30 seconds ago, up 2-1 in this game, now find themselves staring down a 3-2 deficit with the Marauders attacking once again.
Here's Mist, another opportunity, was looking for top Binskis. I don't know if I should call that the top post or the side post. It literally hit the perfect corner without going in. It's going to be Nathan trying to find the clear. Mist steps in, picks the pockets off of the second touch. Get dunked on, big boy. The Marauders going to be up 4-2.
What a play by Mist to pick up the second touch off the defender nonetheless. To put that home. If there's a statement goal, Q, that's a statement goal by the champs cementing their place in and almost picking up that kickoff goal again as well. The Marauders aren't giving the Cougars any space to breathe here.
No, I think if that kickoff goal goes in, it probably would have been wraps. Now it's Mist looking for the double touch, not going to find it there. Macro, however, will be able to slot it in off of the rebound. It's a 3-goal lead, and we're not even 2 minutes in.
Yeah, this is a huge change. About less than a minute, 20 seconds ago, less than 2 minutes into the game, and we've already the score's gone back and forth 3 different times. The champs taking the lead, the Cougars pushing back, and then the champs absolutely cementing their lead right now. And the Cougars are going to have to play perfect to battle back, as we've seen multiple times today with the Marauders.
And
Jonathan up off the wall, trying to go for the double touch and just missing. Oh, and dropping it down and missing a wide open net below him as well.
And it's one thing when you're down by 1, maybe even 2. You just continue the same game plan, but it's now 3, make it a 4-goal lead here for the Marauders. And now all of a sudden you got to start playing with a sense of urgency that you really haven't gotten used to playing in at all during the course of this tournament. Your back's up against the wall, and could we very well see our first mercy rule on stream in game number 4 to be able to crown a champion? It's looking like that could very well be the case.
It could be the possibility, and the Marauders aren't going away at all. They are pouring everything they have, playing at a pace I don't even think we've seen them play at today, just relentlessly, shot after shot after shot, keeping the ball into the opponent's zone, driving attacks multiple times. Great pinch off the ceiling to try and set up Nate. Ball bounces a little bit high there. Nate carries it back into the corner and tries to set up for Mist. The Cougars and Nathan tip it just a little bit far. Jonathan misses, but luckily he has Ethan there to pick up the ball and cover for that mistake. Otherwise, the Marauders were going in, and that double touch right off and bouncing between the crossbar and the ground. And the Cougars just keep it out, but the Marauders are right back where they were, and Macro punishes the Cougars, putting them up 7-2, a minute 40 to go.
Might not be Brazil, but it still seems to be an unsurmountable lead here for the Marauders, up by 5 with 99 seconds left to play. And with the dominance that they've been able to establish here in game number 4 and the ability to just absolutely seize the control of this ball and keep it down that half, it does seem like it's going to be an impossible task to be able to flip the script. I mean, when we look at the field domination, it's already past 70%. It's so rare that that happens, let alone this late into a tournament. Is that 8? That's 8. Are we close to that mercy rule?
I think we're right up against that mercy rule right now, Q. This is an absolutely unreal performance by the Marauders to drive home why they are the current champs. They are giving the Cougars everything they can handle and more, and not relenting or backing off in the slightest. This is absolutely unreal play as the Cougars try to drive it deep, but just can't get past the Marauders defense as we got a minute left on the clock.
Well, they had an opportunity there, but then all of a sudden they had to go screaming back to the defensive side. One, swing and a miss. Two, at least gathers the handle and puts it on the hood of Jonathan, looking to try and find a counterattack opportunity. It's slowly bouncing towards the net, but Macro will be easily able to save that one. Jonathan rises up and at least sends a ball towards the middle of the field. Macro will send it towards Nate on the sidewall. 30 seconds left. It's trying to see if they can find themselves a ninth here for the Marauders.
And the Marauders are battling back. The Cougars pushing it into their zone. Missed right there. We've seen before to capitalize. Ethan manages to strip it off that car. Taking a shot on net, but right there we have Nate right there to defend. The Cougars trying to give a bit pressure here, but the Marauders just showing and showcasing that full-on control. Macro with a shot off the post, and Nate following it back up to give them a 7-goal lead. And I believe that there, 5 seconds left in the game, but I believe that there is the mercy that you're looking for, Q.
Yeah, that's everyone backing their way on out, and there it is, the mercy rule in game number 4 to be able to crown themselves the champions, the reigning, defending, back-to-back champions, the Marauders, able to pull it off.
Yeah, just absolutely unreal domination that we saw by the Marauders today across every single series and every single game they've played. Whether they faced a little bit of adversity there right off the hop, holding down the Canadians, the Samurai pushed them back to that game 5, but they locked it down and pushed it through. And even though the Cougars had a decent showing offensively, the Marauders just showed in that last game why they are the champs.
And I was going to talk about this point earlier, and then we got behind with some goals. So something I wanted to talk about here, after the Marauders able to be able to crown themselves back-to-back champions, keep in mind they've got 2 players who are in year 11 that will be back next year. They're only losing 1 player to graduation this year. There's a very good chance they could be looking for the 3P next year.
Yeah, exactly. And the Marauders are going to be, like you said, with only 1 player graduating, keeping 2 of those players that have been in there for those back-to-back championships at this point. They're setting themselves to establish a little bit of a dynasty, if you can call it that, within the Canadian Under-18 Esports Championship here. It's, it's very, very impressive, and the rest of the teams have to look out next year, because the Marauders aren't just going to go away into the night.
Well, they are the champs for now. I'm sure they will enjoy being able to celebrate after such a dominant performance today. Literally, our only mercy rule was in game number 4 to be able to crown themselves the champ. That is definitely quite the achievement here. Now, we had an awesome day here today. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here for the Scholastic National 2025. Again, big shout outs as far as for the Marauders, as far as the U18 and the Bears for U15, our 2 champions here today. Big shout out to Lotus 8 and Extra Life for helping out as far as putting everything together. Big shout out to Manny as well. Gendar, it was an absolute blast being able to jump on the desk with you. But of course, we do have the easy job. We get to show up and get excited about Pixels. We got to make sure we're giving a big shout out to our the man behind the curtains, doing all the hard work, Fantasia, pressing the buttons, making sure that everything goes smooth as well. So big shout outs all the way around. We do hope to catch y'all back for our next one. Make sure y'all are keeping an eye over on social medias, as well as over on, if you're in the Discord, jump up in there as well. You know what I mean? Make sure you're in there. And until we do get to catch y'all back for the next one, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all? That's Gengar. I'm Q for the rest of the crew from the front to the back. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Peace.